Welcome to Season 8 of the Finding Peace podcast. This season is focused on practical, trauma-informed tools you can use in everyday life. When emotions run high, relationships feel heavy, or your nervous system needs support. Short episodes designed to help you find more peace, joy, and connection, one moment at a time. Please welcome the host of the Finding Peace podcast, best-selling author, psychotherapist, and speaker, Troy L. Love.
Shame didn't start out as an enemy. It started as protection. Most of us learned to see shame as something toxic, something to eliminate, overcome, or silence. But shame didn't show up because you were weak. It showed up because at some point, it was safer than the alternative. I'm in the 9th grade. I'm standing outside of Mr. Rice's room. The last school bell of the day has rung, and everyone is scrambling to put books in their backpacks and get ready to move on to the next thing that they have to do, whether that is going to work, going home, going off to practice some sports something, or play in the band. I, however, am standing outside of Mr. Rice's room. Earlier that morning, during morning announcements, they said that anybody who wanted to try out for track and field had to go to Mr. Rice's room after school. Now I thought to myself, I think I should try out for track and field. Now I know I've never played sports before, but I know I can run fast. I mean, I've been running from bullies for the last 3 years. I think it probably would be good for me to do that. And so I'm standing there outside of his room and I am frozen. I can't seem to put one foot in front of the other to go in. And all of a sudden, I started to hear these voices talking to me. They sounded like this. Troy, you are not going in there, are you? You seriously don't think that you are going to go in there? That is the worst idea ever. Don't you remember just a few weeks ago, you went to the wrong PE class? You inadvertently had went to the weight training class where all the boys that used to bully you were there. And you heard them muttering as you were walking in. And then you realized you were in the wrong class, and so then you left, and you were humiliated and embarrassed. Well, that is exactly what's going to happen if you go into Mr. Rice's room, because who do you think is in there? The same boys who've been making fun of you for 3 years. You don't seriously think this is a good idea, do you? And look at you. I mean, you are 5'0". You weigh maybe 75 pounds. You are stick thin. You have no muscles. I mean, those knees are so knobby. What makes you think that you could actually be in track and field? This is the worst idea you have ever come up with in your life. You just need to walk away. And I said to the voices, no, I think it's going to be fine. Like, really, I really think, I mean, I know I can run fast. I'm good. I am skinny, but that means I can run really fast. And the bullies haven't caught me. And so I think it's going to be just fine. No. I mean, you've never been even on a sports team. Do you remember in the 2nd grade, you played soccer for like half a game and you ran up to your parents and you said, I'm done. I'm sweaty. You are not a sports kid. You don't do sports. This is not something you do. I don't know why you think this is a good idea. You are going to fail. Mr. Rice is going to look at you. He is going to shake his head and he is not going to pick you. Remember when they make the team captains pick kids to be on their team and you are always picked last, and how humiliating and embarrassing that is? Well, that is what's going to happen this time, except that you are not going to be picked. You are going to be the one and only kid in the entire history of your high school who did not make track and field. Go home. And so I stood there, debating, arguing, and then finally turned away and walked home. And then, as I'm walking home, I hear this voice say, "What the heck? Why did you turn away? You didn't go in there? You should have gone in there. I can't believe you didn't go in there. You didn't even give yourself a chance. You are so pitiful. You are disappointing. You know what? Don't ever tell anybody that this has happened. Keep it a secret. Don't share it with anybody, and nobody will know, and it will be fine." And so, for decades, I never told this story. You know, when you've been asked a question, if you could travel back in time and you could go to any event and change that event, what event would that be? I've thought a lot about that question, and I can tell you that this is one of those events. I wish that I had gone in, because I think I actually would have made it, but I don't know, and I will never know. And because I didn't go in, I don't know what kind of experiences I would have had that would have changed who I was and maybe made me braver and more confident in myself. But I didn't. I went home and I told no one. What I didn't recognize at the time is that I was dealing with the shadows of shame. Brené Brown defines shame as the deep and abiding belief and experience that I'm flawed and defective and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. Now, when we break that definition down, we realize that all of us are flawed and defective. None of us are perfect. The equation, though, is that because we are flawed and defective, we therefore are unworthy of love and belonging. And that is not true. What is true is that even though we are flawed and defective, we are still worthy of love and belonging. But that is not what shame tells us. Shame tells us the exact opposite. Now, it's interesting. Shame comes from externalized messages that we began to hear from the moment we came into this world. Messages that came from our parents, came from our siblings, came from friends, came from commercials, came from social media, came from TV shows and movies, magazines. It comes from all kinds of places about the way that we are supposed to be. And so all these external messages are proclaiming the ways that we are supposed to be, then get internalized into us. Because if I'm not that way, if I don't meet that mold, what that means is I'm not doing it right and there's something wrong with me. And so I internalize that. And now I feel shame. And shame becomes the way that I experience the world. Shame is really big. It is a big, nebulous thing that is really hard for people to understand. And so as I began to really understand how much shame plays a role in the ways that we numb, in the ways that we hide, in the ways that we try to perfect ourselves, I also wanted to understand, well, what in the world are we supposed to do about that? How do we get rid of shame? And the truth is, we don't. We can become shame resilient, and we can do some other things to help us understand shame. I'm going to share some of those concepts with you right now. But what made it easier for me was to break shame down into the shadows of shame. And there's an earlier podcast that I made about the shadows of shame that I'll put a link to in the show notes. At Finding Peace, we talk about how shame doesn't just live as a feeling. It organizes itself into patterns. We call these the shadows of shame. They are not personality flaws. They are not diagnoses. They are protective strategies that we developed in order to protect ourselves. And the key concept that I tell people is the shadows of shame are not you. And this is a fundamental difference between the work that I do and internal family systems. With internal family systems, which, by the way, is a great modality for treating trauma and all those things, they call these shadows of shame parts of themselves. They name them things like the firefighters and the managers. I see it differently though, because I don't believe that the shadows of shame are actually a part of you. You are a being of light. You are worthy of love and belonging. You are whole, even if you are not perfect. But what the shadows of shame do is show up to protect ourselves when we are in pain. And so they come up and they talk to us, but they're not actually who we are. Now, we might go along with them and we might do what they say. And the interesting thing is that when we do that, we end up sabotaging our own self. We end up wounding our own self, which adds more pain to our experience. And shame says, well, here, let me help you with that. I'm going to briefly introduce each of the shadows, but like I said, if you want to listen to them in a deeper way, you can check on the show notes below. The judge shows up and tells us that we have to be perfect. That if we are not perfect, then we are not worthy of love and belonging. And so what the judge does is points out all of our flaws, all of our imperfections, and tells us to try harder, that we need to do more, that we haven't tried hard enough, that I can't believe you're wearing that. You look like an idiot. You're not trying hard enough. You're weak. You're stupid. You're inadequate in some way. And what the judge believes is if you were perfect, then things would be fine. The world would be sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops all the time. The royal, on the other hand, tells you that you are better than everybody else, that you are entitled to special treatment. Now, this is an interesting thing because entitlement doesn't really sound like shame, right? Being told that you are better than everyone else does not seem to fit the mold of being unworthy of love and belonging. In fact, it says you are more worthy than anybody else. You have more value and worth than everybody else. But what the royal does is shame everybody else. The royal puts everybody else down and tells you how the other people aren't enough and how they're not trying and what's wrong with them that they can't see how freaking amazing you are. So it's still a shame-based shadow, but its message tells you that you are better than everyone else. And what it does is create a sense of entitlement. The next shadow is the politician. And the politician, just like a real politician, in order for the politician to keep their job, needs people to vote for them. And in this case, the politician needs people to vote for you. In other words, needs people to like you. The more that people like you, the happier the politician will be. But the challenging thing is that the politician is aware that you are not perfect. The politician listens to all the things that the judge points out that are wrong with you. But the way that the politician handles that is by telling you not to let anybody know, to put on a mask and pretend that everything is okay, to never admit faults, never let anybody know that you've made a mistake, to never let anybody know that you have some skeletons in the closet, because if anybody finds out, they will reject you. They will abandon you. They will neglect you. So put on a mask, go out and shake hands and kiss the babies and pretend that everything is fine, even though it's not. And then people will like you. They will love you. They will adore you. And they won't if they see what's on the other side of that mask. The martyr is the shadow that tells you that your needs do not matter. Other people's needs matter more than yours, and you therefore need to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. Don't have any boundaries. Don't say no. Say yes to everything that is ever asked of you. Bend over backwards to please everybody else and forget about your own needs and wants because they don't matter. We reviewed the Martyr a few episodes ago and how it shows up in our life. But the message is, if you can take care of other people, then you'll be fine. And you'll actually be able to prove to other people that you are enough because you've sacrificed yourself for everybody else. The next shadow is the Impotent One. And the Impotent One tells you that nothing you do is ever going to work out. No matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, it's not going to work. It's going to be a failure. It's a very hopeless feeling. If you can think about Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh and that kind of nothing's going to happen. No matter what you do, it's all going to be crappy. That kind of energy is the Impotent One. It's just this defeatist feeling like, I don't even know why you're bothered. I don't even know why you're trying. It's not going to work out. And then the rebel comes along, and the rebel has a different strategy. The rebel says, who cares about anybody? You don't need anybody. You can do everything you want all by yourself. You don't need anybody. You can do what you want. Rules don't apply to you. You can choose to do whatever you want whenever you want to do it because you have the power to do whatever. So don't let anybody tell you what you can and cannot do because they're wrong and you have the right to do whatever you want. So you should just do it. Who cares if it's illegal? Who cares if it hurts other people? Who cares if it's not aligned with your value system? If you want to do it, just do it. So those are the 6. Now, like I said, I didn't understand these concepts until much later in my life. But as I think about standing outside of Mr. Rice's room, 3 shadows in particular showed up. First, the judge telling me, I don't know why you think that this is a good idea. You don't have what it takes. You are stupid for even thinking about going in there. You are skinny. You are going to be rejected. You're going to be made fun of. So don't do it. Just don't do this. This is stupid. You're stupid. The politician who says, oh my gosh, what are those other boys going to think about you? They're going to laugh at you. They are going to tease you. You're putting yourself in a place where you're being set up to not be liked. So don't do this. This is going to ruin your reputation. Your reputation already sucks, according to the judge, but don't make it worse. Like, just fly under the radar and it'll be fine. And then the Impotent One who's saying, like, you've never been chosen for anything. I don't know why you think you're going to be chosen this time. Like, it never works out for you. And it's just going to be awful. So don't do this. This is bad. So you can hear all 3 of those shadows ganging up on me. And that's why I really try to help people understand these. If I understand the concept of the shadows of shame and I don't see themselves as me, but actually like entities that are around me, and you think about this 15-year-old scrawny little kid who has these 3 shadows just ganging up on him, what's the image that comes to your mind? For me, I'm sad. I'm sad about him and how intense that shame was, to the fact that he left, went home, and then the whole time the judge is like, why did you do that? You should have gone in. You are an idiot that you didn't even try. Now you're never going to know. And that's one of the beautiful things about the shadows of shame, is that we can externalize them. So I can imagine that there's this judge and this politician and this Impotent One, and they're talking to me. They're not me, which is a really powerful tool to understand. So here they are. They're talking to me. And then if I were able to do that as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy, I would say, hey, judge, I see you standing there telling me that I don't have what it takes and that I'm not enough. Hey, politician, I see you standing there telling me to hide and pretend and not let anybody actually see me and don't do this. Hey, Impotent One, I see you standing there telling me that it's pointless. It's never going to work out. Like, I don't even know why you're trying. I see you all saying that. What wounds are y'all trying to protect me from experiencing by telling me that? And if I ask that question, they do answer. And the judge would say, well, Troy, I don't want you to be rejected. I mean, you know what that feels like. It's painful. I don't want you to be rejected. So just don't do it. Like, this is stupid. Politician, I don't want you to be rejected either. Like, being made fun of and teased your whole life, that's awful. I don't want these boys to tease you. It's humiliating. It destroys your sense of self. So I don't want you to hurt like that. The impotent one, I don't want you to experience rejection either. I mean, it sucks always being chosen last every time. I don't want that for you. I want you to go to a place where you feel loved and supported, and I want that for you. And so as you notice, as I'm asking these questions, I start to understand, like, oh, shame has shown up to try and help me deal with the pain of rejection. And it's wanting me to behave in certain ways that they think will minimize the rejection. And ultimately it didn't, because I rejected myself by walking away. But when we ask that question, like, what is it that you are trying to help me deal with? What wound are you trying to help me deal with? It gives us some insight. Oh, you're trying to help me avoid being abandoned. Oh, you're trying to help me avoid being rejected. Oh, you're trying to help me avoid being neglected. And then we do this weird thing. I know it sounds weird, but we do this weird thing and we say, thank you. Hey, thank you, shadows, for trying to help me with that. Thank you for trying to help me avoid rejection. I appreciate that. I'm going to not reject myself. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to try. And yes, it will totally suck if I don't get picked. But I'm not going to reject myself. I actually want to do this. And so I'm going to do it. And I might handle it that way. And so I'm able to understand what they're doing, and then I'm able to come to a place of like, okay, so that's the wound. What do I need? Well, with rejection, what I need is acceptance. So maybe I could practice accepting myself and go in there. Now, I said that that's one of the choices that I wish I could go back in time and fix. Unfortunately, I do not have a DeLorean that goes 88 miles an hour. But a couple of years ago, I went to my 30th high school reunion. And as I was there, they were giving us a tour of the school. And man, they have remodeled that thing. I sit there and think, man, I wish I went to this school. And I'm like, oh, wait, I did. It just didn't look like this. They were giving us a tour. And ironically, some of those same boys that used to chase me and beat me up were there. I decided to walk away from the group for a moment. And I went down to the basement where Mr. Rice's room was. And it was still there, thank goodness. And I stood outside of Mr. Rice's room. And I saw my younger, scrawny, 14, 15-year-old self standing there with fear in his eyes and terror on his face. I said, hey, Troy. And he looked at me and he's like, who are you? I said, well, I'm from the future. I said, hey, Troy, I know right now you are debating whether or not to go in that room. And I want you to know that whether you go in or whether you don't, you are enough. You matter. You have skills and talents and abilities. And yes, your body is not coordinated right now. And I get it. And that's okay, because it will be. And you're going to grow, and you're going to grow into your body, and you're going to learn that your body can do some amazing things. I want you to know that you are enough, even if you don't go in there. I want you to know that you're going to find a group of people that are going to accept you, because in a couple of weeks, Mrs. Wixom, your English teacher, is going to tell the whole class that you are going to try out for the school play. And you are going to be shocked that she did that. But because you're such a good and obedient boy, you are going to do what she said, and you're going to try out for that school play, and you are going to find your people. And you're going to know those guys love you and you love them. I want you to know that you have wounds of rejection and abandonment and neglect, and they run deep. You have wounds of abuse and wounds of loss, and they hurt. But I want you to know that I love you. And I'm proud of the boy that you are and the man that you're going to grow up to be. I just want you to know that it's going to be okay. Shame isn't the evidence of failure. It's the evidence of survival. And when shame is met with love and compassion, it no longer has a show to run.
You've been listening to the Finding Peace podcast. Special thanks to Intrex for providing the theme music for this season and helping set the tone for reflection, grounding, and hope. If this episode supported you, please like, subscribe, and share the Finding Peace podcast. Your support helps these practical, trauma-informed tools reach more people who are seeking peace, clarity, and connection. To explore more resources, workshops, and upcoming events, visit findingpeaceconsulting.com. The Finding Peace podcast is hosted by best-selling author, psychotherapist, and speaker Troy L. Love. Until next time, remember, you are worthy of love and belonging.